The latest Netflix original anime is dropping all its 6 episodes on April 29, and I am here to give you an advanced spoiler-free review of Yasuke. We follow the legend of the Black Samurai, a man who came from Africa and fought alongside a mighty feudal lord in the brutal 16th century Japan. And before I get started with this review, I want to know if you're excited for Yasuke. What is your favorite Netflix original anime? And you know what? Just throw down there some Netflix recommendations in the comments below. Start the conversation, that's the most important part. And if you want to join the beautiful community we have over here, consider clicking the subscribe button if you haven't done so yet. Not only do you join a beautiful community, but you will help support my channel, the anime reviews, movie reviews, trailer reactions, all that sorts of great geeky stuff. The show was very famously meant to star Chadwick Boseman prior to his unfortunate death this past summer, and we got Lakeith Stanfield now voicing Yasuke. I gotta tell you, this is a performance from an actor I love very much. I didn't see it at first. This was a performance that I had to get acquainted because we follow Yasuke a lot in his older years, and the show jumps back and forth in time, and we'll get to that. So Lakeith playing the hardened, old, cynical, bitter warrior didn't sit right with me at first, but throughout the show he really grows into the role, specifically because of the relationship created in the show between Yasuke and Saki, the young girl he has to protect. This young girl must be protected by Yasuke as she is sought out by a great evil that reigns over the entirety of Japan, and the bond that they create and develop throughout the show was the best thing about it. These are the two characters you care about throughout the show, and the performances are magnificent, and I really think the show writes these characters very, very well. The show is also filled with some great, badass, gory, and bloody samurai violence that I adore. The show is shot very well and animated very well, and all these fight sequences are sensational and a ton of fun to watch, especially because the show does not shy away from anything. There's blood, there's guts, there's violence, and it's glorious throughout the entire show. It's also really fun because Yasuke is a huge dude. This guy is a hulking figure compared to a lot of characters that are around him in the show. So seeing him going up against someone and just kicking their ass clean like that gives a lot of fun to the fight sequences when you just see the dude owning other guys who are all cocky going to stand up against him. The show is also produced by Studio Mappa, who has given us some of the best looking anime in the past few years. They've given us Kids on the Slope, Ushio Totora, all the Garo series, and most recently the latest season of Attack on Titan, a show I personally don't watch anymore, but from what I see, the animation is not exactly slacking, you know? So what you can expect from Yasuke is for the show to look great. It looks beautiful. All the landscapes, all the character designs, the details in buildings, in characters' clothing, in the way the characters move and speak, and what happens to them in battle while they're fighting one another. It's all great stuff visually speaking. The show also has a bombastic score that I really love. For those who don't know, I'm a big score guy, so whenever I praise a score for something, it is really fucking good. Ultimately, however, the show ended up disappointing me in a lot of ways. As I said, I love our two main characters. I love Yasuke. I love Saki. I did not give a shit for a single other character in this show. Ming-Na Wen plays a very important character to Yasuke's story and Yasuke's past that I could not connect with. This is a character that just felt like it was standing behind a wall and I could not reach her, and I think that leads us into the problems with the story, because Yasuke jumps back and forth in time. We follow Yasuke as an old man, but sometimes we jump back into the past to learn about his history in Japan, how he came here, how he started to serve this feudal lord, the battles he went through to serve this feudal lord. And this show didn't really have a reason for the story to jump back and forth. I think it would have helped the show tremendously to have the story told in a linear way. Usually when you do this with a story, it's because you're going to have certain reveals that need to come very late in the story, even though they happened in the past, because they connect somehow to things that are happening in the present. But Yasuke doesn't really have that. Yasuke has moments that are similar, but they're never connected directly. You'll learn about something in his past, and then a few things will happen, and then kind of the similar thing will happen again in the present, and that's how it connects. So it feels like a stretch. At points it feels like a chore for you to remember this one thing that might come in handy a little bit later while we're doing something else entirely. I felt the non-linear storytelling of Yasuke really hurting the pacing of the show in its most impactful moments. You still feel them somewhat, but it would have been so much better if you saw his entire story in the past and then you come to this present and see him and how far he has fallen and how much he has changed from his adventures and battles in the past. Another thing that I really didn't like in this show, unfortunately, is the villains. The villains really suck. Our main villain I cannot get into, unfortunately, but it's really just an evil being because they are an evil being, and I know it's according to Japanese folklore, but give a little bit more dimension to the character. This is a character that was just there to be this big evil figure, and that's the purpose it served, and that's fine. It's just not very memorable. The first few episodes also have this one villain that from the beginning you don't believe this will be the main villain, and he almost plays no part into where the story is going. So it just felt like he was slowing the events of the show down until we got to the latter half of the show that picks up considerably from what we had in the first half. My last issue is a bit of a nitpick, I guess, but this show has mechas, and it has a lot of them, and they do not fit whatsoever into the story. They do not fit into this world, they do not fit in with these characters, they do not fit in with the themes and the lore and folklore that we're exploring about Japan. It just felt weird, it felt off-putting to have mechas. I love my mecha anime, I love my Gurren Lagann, I love a lot of stuff, man, but here is not the place to have mechas. Yasuke has great leading characters, and it has a really great foundation and themes that it explores. The relationship between our two main characters, how it's created, how it develops, and how it reaches its conclusion is really great. You really hang on to that. It looks gorgeous. It's not shot, but visually is fantastic to look at, with a great score to enhance whatever it is you're seeing. The story, unfortunately, really felt like it had a lot of things going for it, and then the direction became the worst enemy of its story. It still has potential. I hope it comes back for season 2, but as much as I was anticipating this show, it left me somewhat wanting. I'm giving Yasuke a C+. This was tough. I really could not wait to see this show. I was really looking forward to it. And again, it has a lot of things going for it. Visually, on the surface, it has all the right elements. It's just when you start to deconstruct it, it really falls apart easily. But throwing it over to you, what are your thoughts on Yasuke? Are you anticipating it? Have you seen it as well? Let me know in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. You are the best. Thank you to Netflix for granting me screeners for the show. I hope it comes back for season 2. And I hope it gets better. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, you are the best. If you've watched this far, you liked the video, consider clicking the subscribe button. If you haven't yet, if you get tired of me one of these days, it's okay to unsubscribe. That's all fine and dandy. But I hope to see you in the next one. I'll be back very soon with more reviews. And so until then, love each other and love the movies.